I never imagined my life would change when a billionaire discovered my diary on a bus. It was that ordinary Tuesday when my world split open. I sat there, crammed in the back corner, a nervous mess. My fingers trembled as I scribbled the last words, pouring my heart into every line. Tears blurred my vision. That diary held my secrets, my dreams, my pain. I would have died before letting anyone see it. The bus screeched to a halt, and I leaped to my feet, desperate to escape before anyone could glance over my shoulder. But in my rush, I left it there. My heart dropped into my stomach. I cursed my clumsiness and rushed back, but the bus doors closed with a hiss, leaving me standing on the sidewalk, breathless and terrified. That's when a glimmer caught my eye. A tall figure, striking and commanding, stepped off the bus. He was a billionaire, a legend really. People whispered about him, he was rumored to be ruthless. There he was, clutching my diary, brows furrowed, reading my words, and it felt like a hammer smashing down. My heart raced. I couldn't breathe. The world around me faded. Who was I to him? Just another girl, lost in a city filled with bright lights and shadows. He glanced up, and in that moment, a shiver ran down my spine. His eyes were piercing blue, like endless pools of ice. He caught my gaze, and something in his stare was electric. I could see curiosity dancing behind his intensity. But why? What was he thinking? I teetered on the edge of panic, my gut screaming at me to run. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the diary back and run away. But I couldn't move. A crowd formed around us, watching, whispering. Is that his? They gasped, pointing. What's in there? My mind was racing a mile a minute, filled with dread and embarrassment. I could feel the weight of their eyes like 1,000 knives digging into my skin. Then he smiled. A slow, devilish smile that lit up his face. And just like that, I felt a strange pull, a lure I had never anticipated. Was he intrigued? Or was I simply a fleeting curiosity? My heartbeat was pounding, suffocating. The bus drove away, but my diary remained in his hands. I wanted to run, but my feet were glued to the pavement, my breath shallow like a whispered confession. This was a pivotal moment, a crossing of paths that felt impossible and surreal. What if he found out about every raw, unfiltered part of me? Would he understand my fears, my failures, my wishes? A million questions tumbled in my mind like loose change. What was he really after? And as I stood there, caught in the whirlwind of emotions, I realized, this might have been just the beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My heart was a war drum, pounding against the cage of my ribs as the billionaire's smile lingered in the air like smoke. He turned and walked away, clutching my diary as if it were a treasure worth more than gold. I blinked, unable to process the whirlwind that had just unfolded. My anonymity was stripped away in a heartbeat, shattering the illusion I had built around myself. The crowd began to disperse, leaving me standing there, an island of confusion. Each whispered comment grazed my ears like sharp shards of glass, reminding me helplessly of the secrets buried within the pages he now possessed. I took a step back, yearning to disappear into the shadows, wishing to escape the weight of their glances. But to my dismay, I was anchored. Weighty thoughts churned within me. Who was he, really? A man of his status had countless people to choose from, so why was he focused on me? The idea both thrilled and terrified me. My mind raced through 1,000 scenarios, each more outlandish than the last, when an unexpected presence snapped me from my reverie. Hey, are you okay? A voice broke through my haze, soft and warm like a comforting breeze. I turned to see a woman with kind eyes standing beside me, her concern genuine. She had witnessed the entire scene unfold and approached me, reaching out with a hand, as if trying to bridge the gap between our worlds. "No, I'm not okay," I breathed, my voice barely more than a whisper. Tears stung my eyes as I poured out the day's madness in a single breath. "I lost everything, my diary. It's all in there." Her expression softened, and she leaned in closer, her voice full of empathy. "I saw the way he looked at you. That wasn't just curiosity, it was something more. He wasn't disgusted, he was intrigued. Maybe it's a good thing." I wanted to scream at her for even suggesting that it could be good that he had my most vulnerable thoughts. But her kindness gave me pause. "You really think so?" "I believe that something good can come out of chaos," she replied, a hopeful glimmer in her eyes. "People often surprise us. Maybe he wants to understand you, maybe he wants to help." Her words hovered in the air like a whispered promise, igniting a tiny flicker of hope amidst my turmoil. Perhaps not all was lost. I clung to this thought, allowing it to fill the void where despair had settled firmly in my chest. "Thank you," I said quietly, swallowing hard as I attempted to rein in the tears that threatened to spill. "I really needed that. Anytime." She smiled, gently squeezing my shoulder before turning to walk away. "Remember, the world is full of unexpected kindness." As I turned to leave, I dropped my gaze eagerly to the ground, where my phone lay abandoned, left behind in my stupor. Picking it up, I unlocked it to find a stream of missed notifications. My heart sank further when I saw a text from Sam, my closest friend. "Need to talk. Urgently. Call me." I remembered Sam's voice, filled with concern over the phone, always the one who nudged me toward the light when darkness loomed too heavy. I dialed, desperation mingling with the anxiety that draped over me. "Hey, it's me," I stammered as he picked up. "Where have you been?" Sam's voice was tinged with urgency, a muted panic that I'd never heard before. "I just heard some news. It's about the billionaire, and it's serious." For a moment, the world felt suspended. My heart raced as I braced myself for the revelation. Nothing could be worse than losing my privacy, my dreams etched in words. "What is it?" I pressed, dread surging through me. "They say he's in legal trouble, serious trouble. They found some files linked to him, ones that involve foul play. If he has your diary, he might be in deeper than we thought." The air thickened with dread. Was he really the man I thought he was? Did I unwittingly step into the crosshairs of something far more dangerous? "Sam, I don't know what that means for me," I stuttered, the implications of his words sinking in like stones in my heart. "What do we do?" "Stay safe," he replied, his voice urgent. "Don't let him get too close until we can find out more." I hung up, feeling the fluttering ghosts of hope wane against a rising tide of fear. I had plunged into a world that vibrated against my very essence, and the complexities were darkening. All I wanted was to fade into the comfort of my own thoughts, but the chaos was just beginning. Suddenly, I thought of that slow, devilish smile. My heart twisted as I recalled the way he held my diary like a lifeline. The moment we locked eyes felt like a "please silent understanding." The sensation of fear battled against the thrill ignited deep within me, and I stood at the precipice, stranded between the promise of new connections and the potential doom of a reckless choice. Just then, my phone vibrated again in my hand. A message, an unknown number. My heart raced as I opened it, hoping for clarity, but instead, it sent chills rippling through me. "I have your diary. Meet me where the city lights fade." The world around me blurred as I read the message again, each word sinking deeper into a chasm of uncertainty. My pulse quickened, a wild drum echoing in my ears. How did the unknown sender get my number? Who was calling me into this dark alley of intrigue? I felt the walls of my reality constricting around me, rattled by fear and an insatiable human curiosity. What kind of game was this? My thoughts raced chaotically, images flashing through my mind of the man who had taken my diary, of his enigmatic smile and piercing gaze that held secrets I felt unprepared to face. A part of me wanted to ignore the message, to let fear make the decision for me, but the other part, the part that had craved connection and understanding, urged me forward. That I sank down onto a nearby bench, the chill of the evening air creeping through my clothes. The woman with kind eyes floated back into my mind. Maybe there was a chance within this turmoil, a chance for something more than fear. Could I risk it? No, I whispered to myself, shaking my head as I clutched the edges of the bench to steady my thoughts. This isn't a fairy tale. And yet, there was that undying flicker of hope, taut with the thrill of the unknown. Determined to find the answers I desperately sought, I stood up, the message still glowing ominously on my phone. I needed to think. I needed to breathe. My feet led me to a nearby cafe, a place where the comforting scent of roasted coffee mingled with the bustle of life. I ordered a drink, staring vacantly into the steam as it swirled upward, wishing for clarity. A table in the corner drew my gaze, where a couple was engrossed in a sweet, laughter-filled moment. It brought an inexplicable ache to my chest, a reminder of what I yearned for: connection and a kind of happiness that seemed just out of reach. As I took a sip, the warmth of the liquid coursed through me, but the confusion nagged at my heart like an unwanted visitor. My phone buzzed again, pulling me from my thoughts. Another message, but this one was from Sam. "What's the plan? Are you going to meet him?" The gravity of his question settled over me like an invisible weight. There was a pulsing uncertainty, a pull between fear and an unquenchable thirst for answers. With trembling fingers, I typed back, my thoughts racing ahead. "I don't know. It feels dangerous. If you think it's risky, don't go," he responded almost instantly. "But if you feel like there's something to gain, maybe you should. Just promise me you'll stay alert." I took a deep breath, my heart a tangled web of emotions. "Okay," I replied, "I'll be careful. But I can't ignore this." An internal struggle churned inside me. Could I really trust a stranger, even if that stranger had a bond to my words? At that moment, a warm hand settled on my shoulder, and I jumped. I turned to see the kind-eyed woman from before, her expression a mix of concern and anticipation. "You look pale. Want to talk?" "Just trying to figure things out," I admitted, my voice faltering. "It's a lot to process, sometimes talking helps," she offered gently, sliding into the seat across from me. "Let it out. What's on your mind?" I opened up, recounting the events of the day, the encounter, the diary, the ominous message. Her eyes widened with each revelation, concern knitting her brow tighter. "You can't go alone," she finally said, her voice firm but gentle. "If he's in legal trouble, who knows what lengths he might go to. I can't let fear control me," I replied more resolutely than I felt. "This diary is my life, my expression. I can't just walk away." The woman nodded thoughtfully, glancing out the cafe windows at the gathering darkness beyond. "I understand. But there are other options. You deserve to be safe, too. You can't face this alone. Let's at least prepare." Her kindness surprised me, and for a moment, I felt a swell of warmth break against the cold tide of uncertainty. Together, we spoke in hushed tones, devising a plan if I were to go through with this. A safety net was essential. When the hour grew late, and the city lights began to twinkle like distant stars, I found myself clutching my phone, anxiety coursing through me. My heart trembled with trepidation as I read the message again, my finger hovering over the reply button. I was still on the precipice, a breath away from plunging into something unknown, but I wasn't alone. "Okay," I murmured, determination hardening within me. "I'm meeting him." After all, every tale worth telling had its risks. I sent a quick message back to the unknown number, my heart raced at the thought of what awaited me. "Where should I meet you?" As I prepared to leave, the night air felt electric, and I looked at my new companion, whose belief in my strength seemed to push me forward. With one last reassuring smile, she squeezed my hand. "Trust yourself. You've got this." As I stepped into the night, the shadows deepened around me, and I felt the weight of secrets and potential danger blend into a single, exhilarating rush. Yet just before I turned the corner, the phone vibrated once more, another message that splashed panic against the thrill of what lay ahead. And suddenly, It read, "You shouldn't have replied. He's not who you think he is." A surge of icy dread washed over me as those words hovered ominously on my screen. My breath caught in my throat, and my heart pounded like a relentless drum echoing my panic. I turned back, instinctively scanning the cafe behind me as if expecting to see a shadow lurking in the corner, but the only thing I found was the sweet couple still laughing over their drinks. "Who are you?" I typed back, my fingers trembling. "What do you mean?" But as I sent the message, my mind was awash with questions, each swirling more chaotic than the last. Who were they? And why did they think I shouldn't have replied? My heart raced with anxiety as I imagined the man from the alley, his charming smile now twisted into something sinister. Without waiting for a response, I stepped out onto the street, the chill of the night wrapping around me like a shroud. I glanced towards the location the stranger had suggested, the park just a few blocks away, where the shadows embraced the trees like old friends. My thoughts turned to Sam and the stranger whose interest had suddenly turned sinister. The idea of drawing myself closer to danger felt insane, yet the pull of curiosity was undeniable. As I walked briskly, I tightened my grip on my phone like it was my only lifeline, glancing at it every few steps. The streetlights flickered above me, casting ghostly shadows that danced along the pavement. Each time my phone buzzed again, the panic surged, filling my gut with an unsettling knot. "Leave while you can," the new message read. "He has followers in high places. Your life could depend on it." With each notification, a wave of nausea rolled through me, tangible and suffocating. I could hardly form a coherent thought, my mind split between wanting answers and the instinct to flee. But I couldn't go back now, not with every heartbeat echoing the memories of what I had lost. I couldn't give in to fear. I reached the park, the darkness swelling around me, absorbing the sounds of the city. The air was thick with tension. As I stepped under the cover of the trees, I found him leaning casually against a bench, his sharp suit contrasting against the rich colors of the night. His presence felt magnetic, pulling me closer but sending shivers of something darker down my spine. "Glad you could make it." His voice was smooth, laced with a familiarity that sent alarm bells ringing in my mind. "Who sent you the message?" I blurted out, instantly regretting my bluntness. I needed to play it cool, to seem unfazed by what had just unfolded, and yet all I felt was urgency pouring from me like an open faucet. He raised an eyebrow, the corner of his mouth twitching into a smile. "I see you've been doing your research. A little too much, if you ask me." "Cut the games," I snapped, trying to project strength that felt flimsy within me. "What do you want?" A flicker of amusement danced in his eyes, but then they darkened, bitten by the shadows. "Let's talk about your diary instead. You've written some fascinating things I think we can both benefit from." My pulse quickened, my mind racing. Just moments before, I was apprehensive, and now it felt as if he had snatched away the thin veil of control I still clung to. "You went through my things." He took a step closer. "You could say I stumbled upon some secrets. You express yourself beautifully, but you leave yourself vulnerable in doing so. People can be cruel, you know. Or they could help instead of threaten." I shot back, wary of the way his eyes bore into me, searching for a glimpse of the fear I was determined to hide. "True," he conceded, stepping back slightly, raising his hands as if to disarm the tension. "But let's be realistic. You're standing on the threshold of secrets that could transform your life, and I have the means to help you navigate those shadows, under a threat of violence." I asked incredulously, shaking my head. "No thanks. You misunderstand." His tone softened, but the intensity of his gaze remained piercing. "I just want to offer you something more than you could ever imagine. But you need to trust me. It might mean the difference between staying safe and being consumed by those who would misuse your words." A shiver coursed through me, the weight of his words unspooling the threads of my resolve. I recalled the stranger's warning, the urgency behind it, the way it resonated with the nagging pit of unease in my stomach. "Why should I trust you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even as panic set in. "What's in it for you?" He chuckled softly, a sound that echoed through the night like music. "The potential to help someone who has the voice of a generation within her." Majestic words, he said, and I could hear the sincerity beneath the cool detachment. Besides, I'll admit, your tenacity fascinated me long before I ever found your diary. The shadows danced as doubts swirled in my mind. Some part of me yearned to hear more, to explore the promise of power hidden within those pages he had discovered, while terror clawed at another. The danger was palpable, a wild storm brewing within the cosmos of fate and chance that I looked back to the path leading away from this encounter, an invisible tether pulling me towards safety, but then I remembered the warmth of that woman's encouragement, the kindness she had shown me amidst my fear. Forcing myself to stand firm, I took a deep breath, letting anger flare alongside my fear. "Tell me your name," I demanded, feeling the fragile stitch of hope take shape against the impending dread. That he smiled, wider now, glimmers of light flickering across his features. "You can call me Lucas. And I promise, when you're ready to take the plunge into your potential, I'll be right here waiting." In that moment, uncertainty loomed heavier than before as I stood at an invisible fork, teetering between choices, the shadows behind me whispering caution, while the depths ahead unfurled beneath a promise of something more. The tension snapped as my phone vibrated again. I instinctively grabbed it, my heart racing to match the urgency of what I might read. "Trust the warning," the message warned again. "He has power and he's coming for you." All breath left my body as a chilling realization washed over me. Could it be just paranoia, or was I already a target in this unseen game? The warning echoed in my mind, drowning out the night sounds. The words blurred together as dread pooled like molten lead in my stomach. He has power and he's coming for you. Who was I now, a pawn or a player in this game that seemed to spiral beyond my control? "Are you okay?" Lucas' voice, once alluring, now wrapped around me like barbed wire. "You don't look well." That I forced myself to breathe slowly, clinging to the moment, wishing for clarity. "Is this a game to you?" I asked, peering through the darkness as my world twisted further out of shape. That he paused, his expression shifting to something that resembled concern, and yet the glint in his eyes remained sharp. "It's more complicated than that. There are forces at play, and you've unwittingly tapped into something far larger than yourself." "Was that your intention?" I shot back, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound firm. "You sought me out because of my words." He shook his head, glancing around as if noticing the shadows moving with a consciousness of their own. "I sought you out because you might be the only one brave enough to wield them. But trust doesn't come easily, does it?" My pulse quickened at the thought that this was just the beginning. "You talk about trust, but how can I trust you when every part of what you've said feels like a veil, one that could hide intentions darker than I can imagine?" Those words in my diary were my confessions, my vulnerabilities. Why should I risk it all on a stranger with a pretty phrase and a sharp suit? "Because sometimes," he said quietly, stepping a bit closer though still maintaining a distance, "the most fragile of things can become your greatest strength. You felt the weight of your words, they resonate even with those who lurk in the shadows." Just then, a distant laughter floated through the park, almost mocking in its brightness. My heart ached for a sense of normalcy, the simple joy that had slipped through my fingers. I hadn't asked for this confrontation or for my life to tumble into chaos, but there was a glimmer inside me, a small flicker ignited by the warmth of that couple earlier at the cafe who reminded me that kindness still existed. "This isn't just about me," I finally managed, my bravado waning. "I don't want to be part of your game, Lucas. I have people I care about." "That's precisely why you should reconsider," he said, his tone hurried, almost desperate, as if time itself were running out. "Those people you care about are entangled in this web now. What you write could endanger them too. You have a choice: either join me in harnessing that potential, or remain naive to the truth around you." "Stop," I interrupted, shaking my head furiously. "You can't manipulate me with threats of danger. It's what they all douse fear to control." "That I am not afraid of you," he countered, the fire returning to his gaze. "But you should be afraid of the truths waiting to be unveiled. There's darkness ahead, and a single misstep could engulf not only you but those you love." My thoughts turned momentarily to Sam, his smile, his laughter like an anchor to my fleeting sanity. How could I let anything happen to him? The very idea of losing him sent shudders through me, but the prospect of sliding deeper into Lucas' world, a landscape flecked with danger, yet painted with the promise of change was equally terrifying, and so, as silent stars bore witness above, I felt myself teetering on the edge of a decision I hadn't wanted to make. The air crackled between us, thick with unsaid words that turned into electric tension, both entrancing and perilous. Suddenly, my phone erupted with life again, this time with a photo. I clicked it open, and the color drained from my face. There was Sam, standing unsuspectingly on the corner outside my apartment, his back turned to the camera. My heart raced, and I fumbled my phone as fear washed over me in heavy waves. "Sam!" I whispered, my throat tightening. What had I inadvertently dragged him into? Lucas' expression morphed into shadowed concern, and I had to fight the urge to flee, to rush to him and pull him away from whatever had just been unleashed. "What are you doing to him?" I choked out, my heart recoiling with dread. "Nothing yet," he replied evenly. "If you choose the right path." Tears stung my eyes as I scrolled down to read the message sent along with the image. "You have a decision to make. Choose wisely, or it will cost you more than you can afford." The weight of the threat hung over me like a dense fog, curling tightly around every breath I took. In that moment, as the night deepened around me, I felt the weight of urgency collide with the overwhelming churn of anxiety. I needed to protect Sam, but could I do so by aligning with Lucas? Could I dance with shadows while keeping the light alive? I stood at the crossroads of despair and hoped, the words from my diary echoing an anchor of vulnerability, now entwined with peril. It was clear I couldn't turn back, lived fearlessly straddling the line between salvation and damnation. I looked at Lucas, searching for a glimpse of the man who stood before me, and yet all I could find was uncertainty wrapped in a shroud of deeper consequence. What do I do? I breathed out, hope flickering feebly as I met his gaze, ready to hear whatever he had to say. But before he could respond, a chilling voice from behind interrupted us, deep and unnervingly familiar. "You're too late, darling. You've involved yourself in something much bigger than you can imagine." The shadowed figure emerged from the darkness, and everything froze as my heart plummeted into an abyss of dread. The game was on, and the stakes were higher than I ever could have anticipated. "I never imagined my life would change when a billionaire discovered my diary on a bus." The voice sent a tremor through me, clawing beneath my skin. It was Vanessa, the woman I had glimpsed in the Café Regal, radiant, and decidedly dangerous. For a moment, the world folded in on itself, leaving only a sharp focus on her smirk that promised mischief, power, and a warning all in one breath. "Vanessa," Lucas said, his tone dipping from urgency to a chilling calm. "What are you doing here?" "Just ensuring our little star doesn't stray too far off course," she cooed, her eyes glinting like daggers in the low light. "After all, why should you have all the fun?" She stepped fully into view, and I could see the exquisite detail of her outfit, tailored perfectly, emanating an aura of control that sent prickles of fear racing down my spine. "Stay away from Sam," I found myself croaking, my voice shaking as I realized how outmatched I felt. How could I confront these titans of shadow and bravado when my own world felt so fragile and small? "Sam. Oh, darling, he's already part of the equation now," Vanessa sang, as if recounting the most delightful gossip. "The moment you decided to dip your toes into this murky water, you dragged everyone you care about into the depths with you." "You don't know what you're talking about," I gasped, desperation creeping into my words, thinly masking the rising tide of panic. He's just a kid, isn't it cute?" She smirked, tilting her head. "You think you have control. But you're just a pawn, and you don't even know the rules of the game yet." That I felt the heat of betrayal ripple through me like boiling water. How could Lucas stand here and allow this? His silence screamed louder than any protest he could make. "Lucas, stop her," I pleaded, feeling the desperation clawing at my throat. "You could stop this. You spoke of choice, make a choice now." His expression remained inscrutable, masking truths that blended uncertainty with an iron resolve. I had always considered him charming and enigmatic, but now he appeared lost in translation between two worlds, light and dark, control and chaos. "It's not that simple," he finally replied, glancing between Vanessa and me, weighing his options as if they were bullets in a gun barrel. "You need to understand that enough." Vanessa's voice sliced through the air, sharp enough to shatter crystal. She is not ready to grasp the gravity of this, Lucas. And you know it. She stepped closer, a shark navigating through scent and blood with unerring precision. She needs to decide who she wants to be in this grand tapestry, or I will be forced to make that decision for her. That I want to protect Sam, I said, drawing from the last shreds of the courage that tethered me to this moment. Whatever deal you have offers me nothing but chains. I want play, such defiance, Vanessa crooned, her eyes glimmering with a predatory delight. But without action, words are just a pretty dance on air, aren't they? What will you do? Write another diary entry. Perhaps another wish on a flickering star. The pain of her words struck home. What did it mean to throw myself into an unseen fight? I had always believed in the power of words, but now they felt dangerously inadequate against the looming presence of these powerful beings. As if sensing my wavering resolve, Lucas stepped forward. You're more resilient than you realize, and this isn't the end. He looked back at me, his voice softening. But if you want to protect your loved ones, you'll need to learn quickly. There's power in the darkness, and light can emerge from the shadows, but you must embrace both. Enough with the theatrics, Vanessa snapped, irritation dancing across her features. The clock is ticking. You have until midnight to choose, align with Lucas or stand your ground alone. Behind her, the park seemed to hold its breath along with me. My gaze darted to the nearby street lamp, where the shadows cast by its light danced like spirits celebrating a macabre festival. Each flicker weighed heavy with potential outcomes, every minute stretching longer than the last. Do I even have a choice? I breathed, the very essence of hope fraying beneath the pressure of surreal impossibilities. Or has my fate already been written by the colossal hands of those who find delight in unraveling lives? Vanessa smiled, leaning closer, her voice now a whisper of silk and steel. The question isn't about fate. It's about the will to carve your path, my dear. And if you don't choose soon, well, you may find that the choices made for you are far darker than the shadows you see. The dreadful implication of her words slammed into me with a gut punch of dread. My heart raced, knowing I had precious little time. Surrounded by these towering figures of authority, I felt small and insignificantly human. In the back of my mind, the image of Sam standing innocently outside my apartment flickered like a broken film reel, calling me back to my purpose. Make your choice, then, Vanessa declared, her confidence rattling against my spine like a chain forged in the fires of desperation. You have until midnight. Choose wisely, for both your fate and the safety of the lives you cherish depend on it. The air hung thick with uncertainty, my mind swirling in a chaotic storm. The odds felt insurmountable, my heart battled between dread and determination. I had to protect Sam, I had to decide. But as familiar shadows began to creep into the edges of my consciousness, the truth settled like a stone in my heart. The game had begun in earnest, and the only question that remained was how I would possibly survive it. I looked back at Lucas, searching for reassurance or counsel, but found only a mirrored uncertainty. His gaze pulled me deep, luring me into the maelstrom. Even as Vanessa's shadow loomed, ready to strike, the clock was ticking, and my world felt poised on the edge of a precipice. One misstep could send me hurtling into darkness, beyond what I ever imagined my life would become. As the street lamp flickered above us, a creeping fear wound around my heart, constricting so tightly that I could hardly breathe. Midnight a mere breath away, and yet the walls of my fate seemed to close in tighter by the second. Vanessa's presence was suffocating, her breath a wisp of smoke tinged with malice. I turned to Lucas, the only anchor in this storm of chaos, but even he seemed caught in the web woven by her words. What should I do? I whispered, desperate for direction, for anything to pull me from the abyss. His brow furrowed, and for a fleeting moment, I witnessed a crack in his polished exterior, revealing the turmoil raging beneath. You must not let fear dictate your choices, he murmured, his voice low yet steady. Think of Sam. Fight for him. As my mind raced, flashes of memories swirled. Sam's laughter, innocent and bright, filled with the promise of days lived unburdened by the weight of shadows. My resolve flickered, kindled by the thought of his trusting smile. That I won't let you hurt him. I seethed at Vanessa, my voice stronger, emboldened by the love I felt. You may think this is a game, but I refuse to play by your rules. A moment of silence punctuated my declaration, the wind stilling as if the world paused in approval. Surprise danced in Vanessa's eyes, a glimmer of respect perhaps, but it quickly morphed into amusement. "Brave of you, my dear, but bravery without strategy is merely posturing," she retorted, her smile sharp as a blade. "You think you can walk away unscathed? The consequences of your defiance will ensnare not just you but everyone you hold dear." With a swift gesture, she gestured to the shadows at the edge of the park. Figures began to emerge from the darkness-cloaked silhouettes that breathed life into her threat. My heart raced as they approached, unyielding in their intent. "Lucas!" I cried, my voice barely rising above the panic swelling within me. He remained still but resolute, a sentry ready to defend against the tide of fate that threatened to crash upon us. "Stay behind me," he ordered, stepping in front of me, a shield against the encroaching dread. Yet, even he seemed uncertain, his posture tense as the figures closed in. "Douc, dear?" Vanessa asked, her voice now a sultry whisper. "Every choice has a ripple effect, and you've already stirred the waters. These are not simply shadows, they are harbingers of the chaos that will follow your every misstep." My pulse quickened as the figures moved into the light, revealing haunted faces that mirrored my own turmoil, creatures of circumstance, tortured souls that had once been as free as I. A chill raced down my spine, awareness dawning that they too carried scars, echoes of battles too painful to recount. "What do they want?" I managed to choke out, fear clenching my throat. "They want to remind you of the cost of resistance," Vanessa answered, her tone dripping with satisfaction. "Those who defy the currents will find themselves swept away. You need to reconsider your position and accept your fate, please, not like this." I thought of Sam, the way he counted on me, how every moment spent together was brimming with potential, safe from the clutches of fear and control. Feeling the heaviness of my heart, I took a step forward, now my voice steady with unexpected conviction. "No. I will not be intimidated into submission. If you want to fight, I'll fight for my own life and for Sam's. I choose to stand." The shadows seemed to ripple at my proclamation, the figures halted, surprise etched on their faces as if a pyre of hope ignited within the darkness. For a heartbeat, it felt as if they were contemplating unity, hope blossoming starkly against Vanessa's predatory gaze. "But that's just it," she said, her voice now low, almost menacing. "You don't know what you're truly up against. And when your resolve crumbles, and it will sooner or later, remember, it was your own light that attracted these shadows." With that warning hanging heavily in the air, the figures seemed to recede slightly, shifting like restless spirits whispering among themselves. I could feel the intensity of their gaze, weighing and measuring, but the unexpected display of solidarity flickered within them, a glimpse of the resilience I clung to and now found mirrored in others. In that transient moment, I sensed a glimmer of hope, yet it felt so fragile, almost ethereal against the looming darkness. I locked eyes with Lucas, the pulse of unspoken connection thrumming between us. He offered a slight nod, a silent acknowledgement of the battle we now faced, but then like a bolt out of the blue a sudden commotion erupted from the entrance of the park. A figure stumbled into view, breathless and wild-eyed. My heart plummeted, and with dread pulling at my gut, I recognized the unmistakable silhouette. It was Sam, his carefree spirit painted with fear and urgency. "Sam, no!" I cried, propelling toward him, instinctively shielding him behind me. "Wait!" he gasped, his voice trembling. "I saw what happened. You have to listen." And then, just when I thought the tension of the moment could not stretch any thinner, Sam continued, "There's something you don't know, something Vanessa is hiding." The atmosphere quivered, an electric current sparking a new urgency as I turned to face the darkness that had chased me for too long. What had he seen? What was it that could change everything? One question clawed at my mind as I stared into the swirling shadows. Was this the revelation I needed to fight back, or was it yet another layer of danger hidden in the fold of my turbulent fate? I felt the weight of Sam's presence behind me, his breath a quivering string of urgency that ignited my fear. All the excitement and laughter from our earlier days vanished as the shadows seemed to draw closer, hungry for the revelations we had yet to share. "What did you see?" I demanded, yearning for answers but terrified of what they might bring. "That I saw her," Sam said, his eyes wide, darting between me and Vanessa. She was with Summonia man. He was talking to her about you. About your diary. Panic surged through me, threatening to swallow the thin thread of hope. My diary? What do they want with it? Before Sam could respond, the figures lurking in the shadows began to shift restlessly, their murmurs rising like a low growl. Vanessa chuckled, her confidence radiating with a chilling edge. Ah, the diary. Such a simple book holding far more power than anyone realizes. You see, your private thoughts have a way of capturing the most intimate aspects of your life, and they can be weaponized. She leaned closer, an almost sickly sweet smile stretching across her face. What if I told you that someone paid a handsome sum for its secrets? Someone who is eager to unravel your carefully curated existence. Fear coiled tightly in my chest, constricting my ability to think straight. Why? What could they possibly want with it? I suppose it's only natural for people to want to know what lurks beneath the surface. Your struggles, your fears, everything you've laid bare. In the wrong hands, those thoughts could be used against you, Vanessa replied, reveling in the chaos her words incited. The shadows twitched, a murmur of unease traveling through them. I could see the faces of those figures more clearly now, their expressions a mix of curiosity and contemplation, but none of the reassurance I had hoped for. I turned to Lucas, desperation flashing in my eyes. What do we do? This can't be the end. That he was still at my side, unwavering despite the storm circling us. We must protect what's ours. Your diary, the truth it holds, it's vital we keep it from Vanessa and anyone who would exploit it. Easier said than done. I shouted, frustration clawing at the edges of my calm. We're up against those who move like smoke in the night, shadows who know secrets we barely understand. Sam took a step closer, his small, steady voice cutting through my turmoil. But think, me, if they want the diary, it means there's something powerful in there. Something they fear. What if it can protect us? There's no telling what I wrote, I whispered, dread anchoring me as I remembered the darkest moments sketched between the lines. Secrets I had long buried in ink now felt like cracks in my foundation, threatening to crumble the life I fought to preserve. Then we must retrieve it before they get to it first, Lucas urged, his eyes hardening with determination. No matter the cost. Vanessa chuckled maliciously, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. You're welcome to try, but I assure you, the more you struggle, the deeper you'll fall into despair. And you, she gestured to Sam, a sneer barely contained, bring only hope with you. Hope is often the precursor to greater suffering, wouldn't you agree? Ignoring her taunting words, I felt a flicker of inspiration surging through me. We can't allow them to dictate our choices. We have to do this together. Turning back to Sam and Lucas, I steeled myself, determined to take control instead of allowing fear to lure me deeper into chaos. Let's make a plan. Whatever they want with my diary, we won't give it to them willingly. We'll outsmart them together. As we huddled closer, whispering strategies and contingencies, a flutter of solidarity stitched our hearts. I could feel the shadows of doubt starting to lift, albeit faintly. Then suddenly, an unexpected voice cut through our hushed discussion. Mia. All heads turned, but the chill that slithered through my spine came from the recognition. There stood a figure I never thought I'd see again, a person whose very presence pulled me into the fray of unresolved emotions, my estranged father. The last time had crossed my mind was during sleepless nights punctuated by regret, but now he stood before me, a raw uncertainty etched deeply across his face. What are you doing here? My voice trembled, the words laced with disbelief and accusation. All those years of disappointment coiling back into focus, mingling with fear and confusion. Point two came to find you, he stammered, his gaze darting nervously to Vanessa and the figures flanking her. I didn't realize things had escalated this far. I didn't know what. I pressed, anger igniting in the pit of my stomach. Didn't know I'd be caught in a war none of us chose. Sam glanced nervously between us, sensing the tremulous energy sparking in the air. Lucas stepped forward, eyes narrowed, a fierce protectiveness animating his stance. But even amid the rising tension, a part of me silently wrestled with an inkling of hope. Could this unexpected arrival change the tide of our unfolding events? And if so, whose side would he be on? Questions clawed at my insides, unanswered riddles casting shadows over our fragile alliance. With my heart pounding, I knew the battle was far from over, our choices rippling through the darkness as we stood on the precipice of an uncertain fate. The air thickened between us, taut with unresolved emotions and the tension of impending conflict. My father's presence felt surreal, like an echo of a past I tried to bury. Beneath the weight of his gaze, I was suddenly a child again, filled with a tempest of anger, hurt, and longing that I didn't know this would happen, he said, his voice trembling. I wanted to protect you. To explain. Protect me? I interrupted, clenching my fists. You walked away. You chose distance over me. That doesn't sound like protection. Vanessa, gazing amusedly at our exchange, shifted her weight, her smile sharp. Oh, but how interesting. Daddy dearest returns just in time to witness your downfall. Tell me, Mia, does he even know about the diary's power? Silence, Lucas barked, stepping protectively in front of me, his palm raised as if to ward off Vanessa's malice. But she only laughed, weaving her playful menace into our emotions like a web. Let's hear your father out, Sam said, surprising us all. His innocence peeled back layers of my defenses, revealing a flicker of curiosity. Why are you really here? My father looked between us, his brow furrowing as if he sensed the gravity of the moment. Because I made mistakes. Huge ones. I thought if I stayed away, I could protect you from who I am. The world I moved in was dangerous, Mia. I didn't want to draw that kind of darkness into your life. Darkness. I scoffed, bitterness lacing my words. And leaving me in the light alone was the better option. The shadows we were standing against seemed to listen intently, shifting as if they too felt the weight of our words. But then a small voice inside me pushed through the anger. It whispered of healing and understanding, things we had both missed. Look, whatever your reasons were, it doesn't change what's happening now. Vanessa and those people out there are after my diary for a reason, I said, noticing my father's face pale at the mention of it. His breath caught, and in that moment, a reminder of our shared vulnerability emerged. I know about the diary, he admitted, his voice stealing slightly. It has to do with decisions I made, people I knew. If they're after it, it's because there are secrets spilling out that shouldn't see the light. Then you know what they want, I pressed. Who are they? Why are they targeting me? He hesitated, the tension radiating off him thickening the air like mist. My heart raced as I met his gaze, searching for answers while struggling against the tide of emotions swirling within me. I can't tell you everything, not yet, he said finally. But I can help you understand the danger. There are people who want to control the truth buried in that diary. People who have no qualms about destroying lives to get it. His admission, a cold knot tightened in my stomach, forcing the remnants of hope I clung to deeper into shadows of dread. Then why should I trust you? Because if you don't, he answered, his voice barely above a whisper, you'll end up making the same mistakes I did. And you'll be caught in a war that has been raging far longer than you or I could imagine. The faint echoes of our reflections intertwined in the air, binding us in a shared dread of what lay before us. Time felt static, and I was living in a moment of intensity where old wounds met present fears. Would he stand by me, or would he retreat into the shadows again, leaving me to fend off the impending darkness alone? Help me, I demanded, the strength of my words fueled by desperation. Help us. You claim you want to protect me. Show that you can. His eyes softened, and for the first time, I saw the flicker of the father I had longed for, a flicker of commitment beyond mere words. I will, he said, his voice steadying with resolve. But it won't be easy. We'll need to move quickly. They won't wait for us to make up our minds. Before I could nod or voice my agreement, the figures lurking at the edge of the shadows stirred with renewed intensity. A menacing figure stepped forward, and suddenly, the reality of our peril surged back, crashing against my chest like an unforgiving wave. It was the man I had seen with Vanessa, the one Sam had described. His presence radiated authority and danger, a palpable force that swept across the ground like a dark tide. Time's up, Mia, he said, a smile that offered no warmth etching across his face. You can either hand over the diary now, or this little family reunion will end in tragedy. Choose wisely. The choice hung in the air, heavy like the very darkness that surrounded us. The chill of uncertainty wrapped around me tighter than ever, threatening to swallow the fragile moments of hope that had flickered to life just moments before. With my heart pounding like a desperate drum, I looked between my allies, the shadows that now felt closer than ever, and my father, who seemed to be teetering on the edge of an old, unhealed wound. Don't let them take it, Lucas whispered fiercely at my side, every bit of his resolve igniting against the threat they presented. The storm was far from over, and as the figure threatened to overtake our tenuous hold on unity, I realized that whatever choice I made next might unravel everything I held dear or forge an unexpected path through the chaos. The atmosphere crackled with tension, a suffocating weight pressing down on me as the looming threat of the man before us sharpened into a dagger-etched ultimatum. My mind was a swirl of conflicting emotions: fear, anger, and an unexpected flicker of resilience. Time was slipping through our fingers like sand, life and death swirling at its tail end. "Please," I urged, my voice shaky but filled with determination, "you don't have to do this." My father shifted closer, and I felt the warmth of his presence wrap around me like a fragile shield. "We can find a way to work this out without more conflict. I just need time." "That's the problem." The man's smile widened, a predator reveling in the chase. "You've had time. Now it's time for decisions." It wasn't just the diary he wanted, it was control over my choices, my life. I had felt this powerlessness before, but now everything I had learned from that diary surged within me. My story mattered, every written word woven from my heartbeat, and now, standing here, I realized that my truth was my greatest weapon against this rising dread. "Time doesn't scare me," I asserted. "But fear and threats won't control me either." The firmness of my voice drew a glance of surprise from Vanessa, as if she had underestimated the strength I had gathered through this journey of unrelenting chaos. "Your words are wasted," the man shot back, discord writhing in his tone. "You have until midnight to choose, or the truth buried in that diary becomes a weapon against you. Choose wisely, or watch as everything crumbles." I turned to my father, searching his face for an answer, a key to unlock this labyrinth of fears. "How do we fight this?" His brow knit with resolve, and despite the shadows that lingered at the edge, I saw determination glint in his eyes. "We can gather allies, the people from my past who still owe me. They would understand this fight. But first, we need to secure the diary. It's the heart of what they're after. We can't just hand it over," Sam chimed in, his spirit like a flickering flame of courage, illuminating fear's clutch. "If it's as valuable as they claim, it means we have something they need, something we can use to leverage our safety." "Let me be the distraction," I volunteered, a plan spinning into being amidst the chaos. Each word resonated like a battle cry within the cavern of my chest. "I can talk to them. It'll buy us time while you two find a way to retrieve it safely." "No." Lucas shot back, firm yet filled with concern. "You won't risk yourself like that. You're too valuable to lose in this game." But even as he said it, I felt the urgency pulsating in the air. The momentum was shifting, and every moment spent debating felt like grains of sand cascading through an hourglass. I can't stand by and let him dictate my fate, or Sam's, or even yours. If we don't act now, we'll lose everything, I pressed, my heart thrumming with purpose. The shadows shifted, whispering portentous secrets as I held Lucas' gaze steady, willing him to trust me. "We need to be brave." He stared back, weighing my decision as if standing at the brink of an abyss. Then he nodded, albeit reluctantly. "All right. If it's what you want. Then let's do it," I breathed, adrenaline surging through me, igniting a spark of unity even in the depths of looming despair. "But we need a plan that includes an escape route. If this turns deadly—" "If it turns deadly," my father interrupted, "they'll protect you." The weight of his words struck a chord deep within me. Our shared resolve felt like the fragile beginnings of a bridge as I nodded, still holding on to the flickering hope that a way out must exist. Together, then. As I moved with purpose, the fierce resolve radiated through us. The figures lurking in the dark exchanged glances, their discontent lingering like shadows over the impending choice. "Too late for you, I'm afraid," the man spat, his voice oily and dangerously smooth. "My offer will stand, but I won't wait for you to accept it." I felt my heart hammer against my chest as determination settled, building like a bedrock beneath my feet. "Well, confront our fears together," I declared. "And you'll find this time, I won't back down." As the shadows stretched into piercing forms, I felt an overwhelming surge of power rising from somewhere deep within me. My words sparked the energy of resilience, they were a plea and provocation coiled into one cohesive force. They were my truth. Moments later, the balance tipped as chaos erupted around us. Shadows pulsed with life, figures advanced, and amidst the unpredictable torrent, my diary nestled securely in my own heart, a fortress into which I would never let despair seep again. All around us, the air crackled with intensity, and for the first time, I felt less like a pawn in someone else's game. "Now!" Lucas shouted, signaling the transformation from hesitation to action. My heart propelled me forward while, behind me, Sam and my father stood resolute, drawing strength from our unbroken circle. We moved as one, embracing the pulse of solidarity that sharpened against the dark that we have each other. I cried, holding the shield of our unity as we forged a path through the unknown. Let's rewrite the narrative. For a fleeting heartbeat, I felt the shadows falter, uncertainty rippling amongst those who had deemed us powerless. My story was far from over, it was just beginning, like the first bloom of spring through thawing soil. Every step drew us closer to the truth, alive in the rush of defiance and strength. And as we burst through the chaos, the fate that awaited us glimmered on the horizon, one shaped by our choices, where light and shadow danced in a delicate embrace. Summer sun, a fresh breeze, not an end, but the true beginning of my own tale. In that moment, I knew my diary was not just a collection of words, it was a manifestation of my life, a powerful tapestry of resilience woven from my very heart. No longer would I allow it to be a weapon against me. As my voice resounded through the night, rippling over the chaos, I claimed my narrative. We are not afraid anymore, and in the stillness that followed, I felt the weight of my journey surging beneath USA foundation, tremulous and thrilling. We would conquer the shadows together, the promise of a new dawn illuminating the horizon, one brave choice at a time.